Welcome, welcome to another episode of A Dangerous Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Alley Seals, with my fearless co-host compatriots. We got John, Ray, Jason, and the disembodied Jules here. Say hi, everybody.
Ghost of Jules, hi.
Hi.
Hi, I will haunt you forever.
Nice.
Here at a Dangerous Podcast, we've moved into the world of live broadcast. It's just like the heydays of radio and network television. Here we are, no filter, live on television, or whatever the approximation of that is. But if you are listening to us on any of your podcast streaming platforms, from Spotify to Apple Podcast, because we're there, we're legit now. Just with everybody else, we are legit and here to stay. So if you're listening and you cannot see our beautiful visages, I'm going to describe. In my right-hand corner, we have Jason, who looks like a Greek god, honestly. But a stoic god. He's here, and he's here to bring us wisdom. We have our guiding North Star, John Carrier, with his luscious dark hair and the beautiful fiery
It's
red.
all real too. It's all real. Unlike Ray. Ray can't say that.
Then we have
Well,
Jules.
John is like kind of, I wanted to say this, kind of channeling Steven Seagal tonight a little bit.
Oh,
That's the turtleneck. You wear a turtleneck.
that's right.
If I grew a ponytail
And your hair
and I
slicked
wore
back.
this, motherfuckers would clear a path when I walked down there.
Almost.
Watch out, he's going to just
John.
Crack
People
your
told me
neck.
that in high school. That goes way, but people told me I looked like him in high school.
And it's
I just never saw it before tonight. It's perfect for
if
this
you
film.
imagine,
Because
all
you
of
haven't
you
seen
can
me do
imagine
martial
right
arts
now,
just with my hands.
all of you can imagine right now, in our presence is the Glimmer Man.
The Glimmer Man?
Steven
Oh.
Seagal, Glimmer Man. Look it up, everybody.
I'm sorry.
Make you guys watch Glimmer Man?
While we're on the subject,
Please, no.
we need to make a rule that no Steven Seagal
I agree.
movies.
I
I
hate
agree with that
Steven
one. Steven Seagal. I cannot.
Even more
have
than I
those.
hate John Carrier.
Okay,
Listen,
Or John Carrier films either.
to quote Vin Diesel in Fast Five, I didn't know there were rules. I didn't know we had rules. How can you just ban Steven Seagal right there? How
I
can you?
vote
He's
yes
very-
in favor.
Pretend
Ray,
we're Saturday Night Live. That's how you ban Steven Seagal.
Ray, last episode, you tried to introduce some sort of voting democracy into a Dangerous Podcast, and that was summarily dismissed. There's no law here. If there was law, we wouldn't be watching effing Kirk Cameron next week, and apparently we are. So no.
Yeah, it is. It is a dangerous podcast. I don't think there's any rules.
If anyone wants to get a verdict on what we can and cannot do in this podcast, there's only one person who can make that ruling, and that is Lou Diamond Phillips.
Hey, speaking of martial,
Go to Lou Diamond Phillips and say, make a ruling on what we can and can't talk about. I will obey Lou Diamond Phillips. I will obey no other mortal.
see, I brought this up last week, and every week we've been going on with the podcast. You've been falling in love a little bit more each time, and I'm afraid, like on episode 20 that we're gonna do, you're just gonna be like, I don't know,
You're gonna have some shrine to Lou Diamond
or he's
Phillips in the
gonna
background.
chase him out to California or wherever the hell he lives.
Will I chase him out to L.A. while reading the bio in the back of his autobiography? Yes. Lou Diamond Phillips is a professional actor in Los Angeles, California. For those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, that was a reference to our very first episode, the movie that we are named after, Dangerous Touch, starring, written, produced by, and directed by Lou Diamond Phillips. But we'll get to Lou Dime in a minute. Welcome everybody. Welcome. I introduce you, but introduce yourselves. Who do we have here today?
Yeah, I'm John.
John the Glimmer Man.
Yeah, and yeah, John. Well, didn't we introduce everybody? Before we get lost, I just want to say that we were talking about Steven Seagal and martial arts. Do you know one of us here takes martial arts classes with swords?
I do.
You do?
Yeah,
I do. I believe that is Ray, who studies ninjutsu.
That actually makes two of us.
Two! Whoa!
Whoa.
two ninjas.
How can we see you?
We are a dangerous podcast.
You be
I'm such a
Have you?
good ninja, you can't see me at all.
I know. Yeah, he's got
It's in full stealth mode.
which is an actual literal ninja. That's really what they're all trying to do, is just hide in the dark.
Yeah. So we are a dangerous podcast, and we are populated by ninjas. I don't know where to go with that.
Yeah. So
That's why we're dangerous.
Yeah, it's really easy to maintain 6 feet of distance when you have a sword between you and your classmate. And so on Thursday nights, I go and practice my samurai swordmanship. And it was designed, it's called the Tayamaru style. And any novice is supposed to be able to kill multiple opponents within a year. And, I'm about a month in.
A year's a long time.
Ray, how many people have you killed today? Hey, Ray. How many people have you killed today?
No one today.
Day ain't
But
over
she's
yet.
ready. That's not the point. The point is she's ready.
I'm
One
always
of these
ready.
days, men are just gonna piss her off so bad, she's just gonna fuck them off. She's gonna throw a party with all of her ex-boyfriends who've done her wrong, and she's gonna jump out of somewhere with her fucking sword and slice their dicks off. It's gonna happen. It's just they're just waiting.
I believe it's called a katana.
Well, whatever it is.
Jen, I think you're projecting
She's gonna be
some weird fantasy onto me. And
So,
I feel it coming.
Jason,
Yep.
I mean, we really need to change the topic of this entire podcast. I want to know how our co-host ended up into the shadowy world of ninjutsu. So what brought you to this world of contract killing for your Shogun?
Okay, well, I was actually just doing this pretty much straight up Krav Maga self-defense class. Then I was out of it for a couple of years, and I moved to Glastonbury, and they moved their dojo to Glastonbury a mile and a half down the road, so I signed back up. But they changed the class, so now it's self-defense and Krav Maga, but it's also karate, kickboxing, and special weapons training. So I've been doing nunchucks and katana sword, and soon I'll do kali sticks.
Okay, I
and
was
both
making
half.
fun of you before, but that sounds so badass.
Yeah.
I was really kind of poking fun at Ray and Jason, but
Yeah. No, you can't do that anymore.
I
You
got
can't do
nothing
that.
else to say. You guys are awesome.
Right.
So here we are, a dangerous podcast where we look at and review movies the world tried to forget. And I have to say right now, I mean we have a little bit of preamble. We're here, we're getting to know each other, we're talking, we're a community. But I feel really I'm really worried about tonight. I'm worried about tonight's episode.
Yes.
And I'm going to explain why. I mean, I knew this when I said that this movie is out of our league. We specialize.
You're owning
is
up.
the
I'm glad you admitted
pun
it. because
intended?
After John gave me such a hard time last week about delivering a bad movie for our bad movie podcast, Ian then just decides to just do this to us, which, it makes no sense that this is a good movie, but it is.
Isn't okay. See, we're already getting. I want to tell you why I chose this movie.
Okay.
Can
And
I
I've
just
been
say
worried, and I've been
What are you
worried
going to
about
say, John?
that David G. Soul commented like when we posted the event that we're going to review this movie. And Jules, you saw this too. You know what his comment? Maybe the only perfect movie. He wasn't saying it was good. He was saying it's perfect. It's an elite movie.
And David Soul is a dear friend of mine and someone I greatly respect. And when I saw that on Facebook, I was like, oh man, I'm out of my league. This isn't a dangerous podcast material, but I want to say why I chose the movie. I remember hearing about Rollerball from my father when I was like 10 years old. And he explained it to me, and this was his pitch for Rollerball. He said, I'm like, what's this movie on TV tonight? He's like, oh, it's Rollerball. And I said, well, what is Rollerball about? And he's like, well, it takes place in like this dark future where like corporations rule everything, and there's this game that they use just to like sublimate the masses, and it's this violent game where people are on roller skates and they have spikes on their gloves, and it's no holds barred. It's like basketball on roller skates if you could kill everybody. And there are these, just these metal ball bearing balls they get fired by a cannon, and they go around the track, and they go so fast that if you grab it before it slows down, it'll rip your arm off. And there's this one guy, and he's so good at the game, and they have to kill him because he's so good at the game. And I said, oh my God, that sounds amazing. Is it good? And he went, no, it's not. and then we watched Rollerball, and after it was done, I could not remember one damn thing that happened in it. And I've seen Rollerball at least 3 times in my life before watching it again for this podcast. And every time I walked away from it going, I wanted that to be good, and it's not. And so I know that when we come here, this might be the only movie that we show that a good contingent of the film critic community considers a masterpiece. And I'm anxious because our wheelhouse is Amanda and the Alien and Dead.
You know what this movie got me thinking of? It got me thinking of Ian would be so misplaced being on. I could just see you being on Mystery Science Theater 3000, and like the robots are busting on the movie, and you're just like, yeah, but that the actor there had a walk-in role in Blade Runner, and it's and just finding it endearing.
Dude, you
find everything endearing.
You give a false representation of me that I just love that.
All right, I'm gonna wait for you to walk through this movie, and you're gonna love it. No, you're endeared to this movie.
I just think that Ian and I can be optimists.
Spoiler.
And it wasn't that. It really wasn't that bad.
John, I don't like Rollerball. And I think this will be this. We're turning the tables, everybody. Every week I'm like, oh, I like this thing about this. There's some shots in Amanda and the Alien that are kind of better than I expected. This is going to change where I'm going to be like, no.
See, I got to remember this spot because
it's not a good movie.
Like 50 minutes into this, you are going to say the phrase, I really like this movie.
I want to, though.
No, you don't think you are, but you are. You are.
Well, how much money are you going to pay me? I'll say whatever you want, John.
I'm just telling you. I know it's going to happen.
I liked this movie more than I wanted to like it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that bad. It really wasn't that bad.
It was good. I'm going to say it's good.
I never thought I'd be in this position, but here we are.
I just want to say James Cain back in the day was super fun.
I just want to say, I think maybe the team has forgotten what bad is, but next week you will be reminded.
I know it.
You'll never know. Like, oh, okay.
Can we
now
just skip
All right.
John's turn?
We can't skip John.
No.
So here we are. I'm not avoiding this. We're going to talk about Rollerball. We're going to get into this movie. If you guys want to celebrate it, you can. But I did not come to celebrate Rollerball. I came to bury
Did you guys know
and
that there's a? Did you guys know that there's a Ray Caldwell and there's also a May Caldwell?
That's my That's my sister-in-law.
Oh, I thought that was like an alien.
She's watching our
I
podcast.
thought you like an
Shout out to Meg,
alien.
the angel of our family. Beautiful goddess.
I just wanted to say that. I'm sorry. Go back to Rollerball.
I'm so glad that we have family welcomed here at A Dangerous Podcast. But before we begin,
Family
before
show.
we get into the meat of Rollerball, we can't ignore our obligations. And remember, this entire podcast comes from recognizing the awfulness in all of its beauty of Lou Diamond Phillips' personal film, Dangerous Touch. And we come together every week and we share something we have learned about our patron saint, Lou Diamond Phillips. So who would like to go first? What have we learned this week about
Yeah,
Lou
what did
Diamond?
you? All right, let's find out what everyone read on the Wikipedia page. Who
Oh,
wants to go first?
You know,
I've got something that's not from the Wikipedia. I pride myself. I go deep. People could vouch for that. I go deep. Jason just left.
Jason just disappeared.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm out. Well, I did a little research. Lou Diamond Phillips has 4 daughters,
yes.
3 of which are models, and 1 who might just be too young to be a model.
She will be a mom.
All gorgeous.
And he weighs less than all of them.
Oh. Is anyone betting
You know,
that John was going to body shame Lou Diamond Phillips? You either lost money or you need to drink now.
He's a skinny
I just
man.
want to say, like, Lou Diamond Phillips, he's like 5'10", 5'11", good-looking guy. I mean, I don't know why you're hating, John. Why are you hating
Joe?
so hard?
Well, John, you've insulted Lou Diamond Phillips. What have you learned in your non-Wikipedia
All right,
research?
what I've learned is because I went to the Wikipedia page, but I didn't stop there. I saw all the facts that you guys are going to recite to me, but I went deeper. I went deep. I did my job is what I did. I spent some time. I made some phone calls. And you know what I found out?
What?
Our Louis Diamond Phillip was a breakdancing champion, and he went to the national champions.
What?
He represented California in the 1981, I think it was, breakdancing champions.
Wow.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, around that same time, who eclipsed Lou Diamond Phillips? Cuba Gooding Jr. He was in breakdance. He represented the United States in the Olympics opening ceremonies as a breakdancer in LA.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine
Yeah.
if they're on the same team.
Or
that
imagine
just
Yeah. That would have been too much. People's ears would have
that would have
exploded.
been too much.
I saw Cuba Gooding Jr. at Ford News in Middletown a few years back.
So I'm going to say this right now, Cuba Gooding Jr., if you are listening to A Dangerous Podcast, which you are, we know you are, challenge Lou Diamond Phillips. The world
There
deserves to see
could be only one.
There can be only one.
Show me the money.
And I will put our patron saint Lou Diamond Phillips against Cuba Gooding Jr. on the dance floor any Saturday of this year.
Actually, team up with Lou Diamond Phillips and challenge 2 of our guys to a katana fight.
Yes,
Or nunchuck fight or something.
guys,
How about that?
I am not doubting the ninja prowess of our co-hosts, but Lou Diamond Phillips is connected with the spirit world, so he has an unfair advantage. Okay.
All right, wait.
So yeah.
Before we go, I gotta make a confession.
yes.
made
That was bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was just
That was all bullshit.
Yes.
And the thing I made up last week was all bullshit. He never went on the date. I was gonna
John.
try.
Why are you such a liar?
like Lou Diamond Phillips is watching right now. He's watching,
But he's
He
going.
knows-
It was not a breakdancing. He wants the truth to get out. So that was.
He knows you lied, and you know what you did is you're bringing down bad luck upon this podcast. Like you're tempting fate. You are tempting fate.
I am.
Jason,
I know. Sorry, Lou.
Please redeem the podcast for this heretic who's been making up lies that we want to believe about Lou Diamond. Jason, come on.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty suspicious that there was a breakdancing competition, national breakdancing competition in 1981.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, right.
Were you around in '81? Big stuff in '81.
No, I not at the national level. I don't believe there was.
Yeah, that's true. Kentucky probably didn't contribute too much
Yeah.
to the.
Jason, please.
All right. So this week I learned that I don't have time to research Lou Diamond Phillip facts, and he doesn't care.
Oh, that's.
I respect that. I respect that.
Everybody.
I respect
Jules,
that.
what do you have?
I have that Lou Diamond Phillips is not breakdancing champion of the United States in 1981. That's what I have.
There really isn't that much stuff on Lou Diamond Phillips.
Phillips does not count as trivia.
I'm telling you, he's not that
You guys,
interesting. You run out of Lou Diamond Phillips trivia really quick when you're doing 5 people every week. You run out of things. Really, there's not that much out there, man.
yeah, you guys
Okay,
can buy me a.
How about
Mhm.
this? This is small, but it's significant. Lou Diamond Phillips was once engaged to Jennifer Tilly. She may be the lesser of the Tilly sisters.
She was in Bound, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that scene from Bound. Bound, though. You know what I'm
I
talking
love that
about.
movie.
I love
It's
that.
one of my favorite movies.
Like,
I don't remember a movie.
We've seen a lot of skin flicks on a dangerous podcast at this point.
Bound.
It really makes you appreciate something like Bound.
Well, Bound is way too good
Yeah.
for this
So, well,
podcast.
Great
And if
scene.
Bound is way too good for this podcast, imagine Rollerball.
And right in the beginning, right? Imagine Rollerball.
Bound is leagues above Rollerball.
Okay.
That's a bold claim.
All right. So are we ready, everybody?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Are we going to start
Yeah,
talking?
let's go.
Here we go. All right. So I am going to describe the plot, such as it is, of Rollerball. Everyone chime in with your thoughts and feelings. Please try not to praise it too much. And we'll see where this goes. All right. So much like all of the films of our recent past, this film takes place in the not too distant future, or distant future. I don't know. It
I
begins
know exactly when it takes place.
19-
Come on. 2018.
in 75.
2018.
It's 2018.
Yeah.
Did they say
Never.
that in the movie?
Yes.
When did they say that?
On the.
I don't.
When did they say that?
I'll pull up the Wikipedia page.
All right, you're looking at it. Apparently, John Carrier says Rollerball begins in 2018. And so we begin in this, very slow and methodical opening sequence of a stadium, a roller rink stadium with a centralized hub right in the center, kind of like a ring. And there are people setting up equipment and setting up screens.
Kind of
and setting
reminds me
up
of roller derby, like
Yes.
the way the track is set up.
And
Yeah.
maybe this is, and I don't mean to insult anyone who does roller derby, because you can all kick my ass. Like everyone I've ever met who does roller derby are just these amazing physical specimens who can just crush me. But I've never understood roller derby, and I never found it too interesting, which may be why I'm bored to tears watching Rollerball. But anyway, so you've got this track. It's kind of this inclined track in a loop, and there's a central place, and they're setting up those things. Like I said, they're setting up equipment and hospital beds, and there are referees looking at things. And then the rollerball players come out, and they kind of look like football players with spiked gloves and roller skates. And they then start skating around the track and playing a kind of version of roller derby meets football meets basketball. And they're all in pinball, and there's motorcycle.
Meets the
Very
roulette
important.
wheel.
Very important. They're not on roller blades. They're on roller skates.
But I've never seen
they're
anyone
on four
look more badass on
They're
roller
in-
skates.
Saratoga
And
four
you
wide.
never will. No.
And so they and so they're just skating around and they're punching each other and they're crashing into each other and and they will grab the rollerball which gets fired from a cannon and then they go and they try to throw it into a hole in the wall and and there's some violence and there's a motorcycle that rolls over somebody and then a guy with a mustache who's a teammate of James Caan. Who is our main character, Jonathan E. So this guy in a mustache kind of just rolls down and smashes into a motorcycle, and we watch Rollerball as it is played. Now, I said that I'm going to be the one person not praising Rollerball here, but I'm going to break that.
Like it. Say you like it.
Not saying
like
that,
it.
John.
You like it. You like it. Go ahead.
Like
No
the
shame
minute
in
I
saying you
say
like
I
it.
like it, the minute I say I like this movie, John paid me money.
Go ahead.
Like one of the things I will say, I'm going to relate this to a movie that I like much better than Rollerball, which is a film that both Jules, I know you enjoy this film. It is called Prospect. It is a science fiction film. It came out a few years ago. I'm not going to get into it because we're not talking about that movie. But a great thing about the film Prospect is there's no exposition at all. They drop you into this science fiction world. They never explain anything that's happening. You're always on catch up of like, what the hell is this? How are they doing this? And I did like that there's, especially in the opening scene, there is no exposition. They're not explaining how Rollerball works. They're not explaining what it is. They're just playing the damn game of Rollerball. I did think that was impressive. What do you guys think of that opening scene? The opening scene of Rollerball.
Well, I don't think it's that. I mean, it is boring. I will agree with you. It's boring. I'm not sure that's a mistake on the part of the filmmaker, though. I mean, because essentially it gets more interesting as they introduce more things into the film that are happening during the matches. So I'm not sure that the point of the movie was to get you to be like really excited about.
No, that's not what I'm
this disgusting totalitarian game. But
I feel like the opening scene is gruesome and kind of drawn out purposefully. I would agree with Jules.
Well, I don't know. Here's what I'm going to say on that is, in fact, I agree with how the opening scene is constructed. I like how it's methodical. I didn't say I like the movie. I like how it's methodical and then like that's an interesting scene, and then they start playing Rollerball and just the game of Rollerball. If you're trying to set up this gruesome blood sport, I've never been more bored by a gruesome blood sport in my life. I didn't think it was possible.
I mean, that's part of one of the reasons why I enjoyed watching it was I was fully prepared to be completely bored out of my mind watching some ridiculous game for like 2 hours, and that did not happen.
I just want to
you know what I mean? And then
ask a quick question.
And then I'm gonna skip ahead in the plot a little here, just to make my point. I was relieved when the big evil corporate guy was like, "This is a really stupid game." I was like, "Oh, phew! We are not pretending. We are not pretending that this isn't stupid." Thank God. Oh, okay. Somebody making this understand.
Yeah, it's not just me,
Despite
right?
the fact that they spent $1 million on a gigantic rollerball arena in Pinewood Studios. They are not pretending that it's cool. Okay, all right, fine, great. Okay, I think I'm going to be okay.
Okay.
So, anyways, Ray, you were saying?
Does anyone on this podcast like to watch sports in their spare time?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do. Yeah,
John?
we're
You too, Jason?
What
about you, Joel?
I'm the odd man out. I do not watch any sports.
Do you watch?
What about you, John?
Wait, do you watch like? I bet Jules, you watch like polo or something.
No, I don't.
You don't watch like. You don't watch like. You don't watch like
I'm
cricket or
sorry- I'm
something?
Sorry to let you down, John. But
All right,
no,
you are letting me down a little.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Jules finds competition dull.
Yeah, I know. It's tedious, right? Watching a bunch of losers. I can take them. Yeah, I watch
Yeah,
some
so-
sports, yes.
We're not just.
I like to play them more than I like to watch them, but if it's like a playoff game or something, I'll watch it. So I just feel like that's a good baseline for like, would you enjoy watching rollerball if it were a thing in general?
I'd like it more than most. I'd like it more than golf.
Sure.
I mean, at
I'd
least
like
the
it.
rules are always changing.
The rules are. Well, let's get to that. Let's move.
I'd like it more than
We've set up.
UFC.
Oh, I love the UFC. Actually, I like
Yeah,
UFC and I like world soccer football.
Mm-hmm.
So Ray really likes watching people destroyed, which
Right.
is is that
Only
what attracted
men,
you to rollerball? Yeah.
Mostly, yeah, just no like protective equipment, just going at it, you know?
There you go. Ray got her mind in dead end. Ray is still just overcome by the eroticism of Baldwin and Michael.
I really didn't mean that the way it sounded. I'm sorry. I'm very pro PPE.
So,
All right. Outside of sports.
For those who are listening in on the podcast, Ray is turning a sheet of beet red right now that's matching her hair. So I realized last week that if we're going to be live, we should be describing ourselves for the people listening on the podcast. And if you're looking at Jules, we have no idea.
Not a clue.
Because he's hidden his from us.
No,
So we move on from there, and we then have this locker room scene where a British executive comes down and tells this team from Houston, "You played very good rollerball."
Wait.
And Jonathan,
Wait, stop.
Yeah.
You're missing the huge racist part. The racist part
Oh,
was
yeah.
stunning. That was
tell us,
stunning.
John.
That's when you know you're in a 70s movie. It was like, holy shit. That was right. They're talking about the Tokyo team. All right, they're in the yeah.
The Tokyo team. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get there. We'll get
We'll-
there.
I think it's
So
actually
the
pretty
executive,
What else is there to talk about?
he says, "You all played very good rollerball." And Jonathan E., James Caan, "You are very good at rollerball. You're mean at rollerball. You, Moon Pie." That's his friend. He's got the mustache. He's a big guy. "You're very good at rollerball, but you're not as good as Jonathan E. Maybe one day you will be good as Jonathan E." And he says, all of you want to be big shot executives in your gray suit, calling the shots. But the executives, they all dream of being great rollerballers with big muscles, bashing in faces." And they're all like, "Yeah, you all want to be us." High five. They love this businessman. Like all of these rollerball people, they're just like, they're so glad that this businessman is coming down to talk to them. And then there's this weird thing where like the executive takes Moon Pie's drink and says, "Are you drinking fruit juice?" And he's like, "It's good for you." And then he slips him like some narcotics or something like that. It was an odd moment. And so that sets the scene. And then the movie kind of just meanders from there. The next day, they call James Caan into his crystalline office. And Jules, can you please talk to me about this era of 70s science fiction design?
Well, I mean,
because this is a very particular era.
Yeah, it is.
It's like a
And
Dexter
it hits
kill
that.
room is what it is.
I
Well,
like
no,
that
I mean,
office with the crystals.
That was actually, that's BMW headquarters. So
Really?
yes, that's BMW headquarters is where they went into there. Yeah, so no, I mean, great production scouting, I guess. They picked, it was the 1970s, so they had a lot of dystopian shit just built that they could, have immediately available to them to film the movie. But it is definitely of that 70s school. I mean, I have a hard time actually because Logan's Run looms so large in my memory about 1970s.
I was totally had Logan's Run in the back of my mind the whole time.
Yeah, this definitely inspired Logan's Run because that comes out a year later. I looked that up because it reminded me of Logan's Run.
Really?
Yeah, it's the opposite.
Oh, I thought it was earlier. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Logan's Run was a book, I believe. I'm pretty sure.
Right, but the film comes out a year later.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's
yeah. I also want to point out there's one character. It's not there's an executive character that was shown in the box seats in Rollerball, and he's escorting Jonathan E. to the crystalline office, and it is the Imperial officer from Star Wars: A New Hope.
I was trying to figure that who that guy was. Yeah.
Remember, this battle station is the ultimate power in the galaxy. And then I find your faith disturbing. That's that guy. So I really like the fact that he pays his dues as an executive for Rollerball, and he got promoted to the Death Star. I knew that guy immediately.
You put in your time. I mean, really. That's good. That company gave him the tools to create his own success story.
Let's start somewhere.
And I think that should really be the story of this film, this low-level executive that rose to the ranks of Imperial officer.
The only one I recognized was Ricky Schroeder's grandfather from Silver Spoons. And he was also in that commercial. You remember the corporation boss guy was telling him to retire. That was his grandfather from Silver Spoons. He was also in those commercials where they make money the old-fashioned way. They earn it.
Oh, that guy. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
So, Pito, let's talk. We got some comments here. Taylor, I think, is correct that Rollerball is just Death Race 2000, but moved indoors.
Yeah, except far less exciting.
Much less exciting. Right. Well, there's only so much excitement you can strap on roller skates. Albert's saying Rollerball is basically.
I don't know, John. I think you're selling yourself short.
The purity of Derby carnage.
That was
purity.
Rollerball is basically hockey without the pretense of civility. The purity of Derby carnage.
Great. Thank you. Sounds much better when you read it.
Yeah. Anyway, good to see you. So now, Jonathan E. is escorted into the crystalline office, and it's the first time you ever get to hear him talk. And I'm going to talk about James Caan's decision for this character, and know that James Caan is a fantastic actor. Sonny Corleone, he's an amazing actor, and he makes the decision to play Jonathan E. as a mumble-mouthed, dullard.
Yeah, I was thinking this is the first mumblecore movie.
And I know it's a very deliberate choice, and I see what he's trying to do. I just do not think it works. He's so distracting. It is so just it didn't work for me. I'm gonna do my description of Jonathan E. throughout the movie. Hey, I don't know. I really like Rollerball. It's good.
He's cool.
I think it did work. I liked his character a lot because I think he's playing dumb a lot, but yet he's asking these kind of pointed questions. I think he's plays this kind of stoic character that's a man of little words. I mean, I think it kind of worked because it kind of made the corporations more afraid of him. Because they're is he just this dumb guy that's had too many concussions, or is he actually some kind of mastermind? We keep on changing the rules on him, and he keeps on coming up on top.
I think you're overthinking it a little bit.
I don't know.
I think they overthought it.
And
I think they did.
So
I think it worked. I liked his character a lot.
I respect that. I did, and I think one of the things that didn't work for me is James Caan is obviously playing against type. Like he's playing himself subdued. He's playing himself not smart. He's playing a pushover. He knows who he normally is. He knows the characters he normally plays, and he's very purposely steering away from that, but in a way that I think is very obvious. It's distracting, honestly. He's like, guess what? You know what you think I'm going to play. I'm just going to play this mumble guy. Did anyone else find that distracting, or is it just me?
I thought he was just
I did it in the
supposed to be
beginning.
like dumb jock. Like that's why he played the character like that.
He was 70s
He's not a rocket scientist.
cool. I mean, it's also the era that in the set right now. We're like, what is this tool doing? But back then, like the John Travolta era, that made him like, I'm just too cool to like talk and enunciate. You know, it's just, that made you cool.
I don't think that is. I don't think he could have been 70s cool if he wanted. He was James Caan. He was 70s cool. Anyway, the decision did not work for me, but that's how he plays him. So
Yeah.
let me explain the scene with the executive. So they're sitting there, and the executive's like, "Well, Jonathan, you're very good at rollerball. Excellent. I'm glad you had this storied career at rollerball. But it's time for it to end, and you need to retire." And he's like, "Well, I don't know if I should retire because like we play a certain type of game, and there's a certain kind of rhythm, and." Yeah, and they're like, "Well, no, Jonathan, you really should retire because it's time, and well, you should just do what we say. There's no more nations anymore. There's only the corporations. There's not even the corporate wars anymore. So the only thing that you need to know is that you don't disobey management decisions." And so, he's like, "Well,
And then Taylor just
sir,
mentioned here that he was on drugs the whole time. I mean, they had those little looked like breath mint sucrets.
Oh, I thought they
They were
thought
high
they
on
only give
mint
those-
the whole time.
I thought they only gave
Did
them.
Taylor watch this movie?
I thought those were only
Yeah,
moon pie. Did he have them? I don't
I
remember if
actually
he
don't
had them.
think Jonathan E. takes those throughout the movie. He keeps giving them to people, but I don't think Jonathan E. is taking any drugs. Now, James Caan could have very well been high.
Do you think?
Very well. And they bring up the plot point that, like, the corporation took my wife away from me. And,
that was the afterthought. It's like, you want me to retire? God damn it, that's not. Also, you guys took my wife.
and then you have the executive's response, which was, "Well, Jonathan, I just don't want to talk about that anymore. We talk about that every time. They took your wife away before I took office, and there's just nothing I can do about it."
And
he's
also,
like,
I heard she wanted to leave you.
I heard she wanted to leave you.
Yeah, that was like after he admitted they took her, and it happened before he was there. Plus, I think she wanted to leave you.
Yeah.
So
And so you've got that going on, and
it is an allegory for capitalism.
Yeah,
Absolutely right.
and
I'm
then
going to disagree. I'm going to disagree here about the capitalism allegory, because what's bizarre is they're using capitalism as an allegory for a communism that actually works. If you think about it, the whole movie is just a communist state, except for nobody's starving. I mean, it's a bizarre choice, and not clear what point they were trying to make with this film in terms of that kind of thing. Well, no, yeah.
I should have let you make my point. But, sorry, Ray.
Well, no, they don't have to. They can. There could be, Tony Blair style, a third way of, dystopian nonsense that isn't explored, and science fiction should explore this weird, successful totalitarian state that's not communist and ostensibly capitalist. Despite, but yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, Ray, you were making a point and we cut you off.
Yeah,
So,
sorry.
No, I was kind of trying to intercept here, but basically these women are like professional wives. It's almost like prostitution, kind of, where they're not supposed to get too attached to the individual nature of themselves or their wives. They're not supposed to have like this like loyalty to anything else but the corporation. So after a while, you lose your wife. You don't get to have your wife for many years. You just
Well, no, not always. Only if the corporation likes her.
Yeah.
If she's ugly, they'll let you keep her.
It did make that clear. Like Jonathan. So in the Crystalline office, we've spent so much time in the Crystalline office now. We established that they want Jonathan.
I mean, if you want to be
Rollerball.
happy for the rest of your
Yeah.
life, never make a pretty woman your wife.
Yeah, they want Jonathan E to quit Rollerball, and Jonathan E does not want to quit Rollerball. That's what we established. And
oh yeah, you took my wife.
Yeah, I mean,
what the fuck?
like, there's also in this totalitarian state, like they could just make him quit Rollerball, but like
I gotta say, he's an all-around like jolly kind of content guy for a guy whose boss like just took his wife for their own.
so
they just gloss over that. It's like, what the fuck, man?
We don't gloss over it because it keeps coming back. But now, so the boss says, well, Jonathan, you should really think about what we said. It's okay. So he goes back to his ranch where there's his professional girlfriend. And she's like, I just got a note from the corporation saying that I've got to leave. He's like, well, I guess you got to do what you got to do. And so then we have a scene where he's with his old coach from Rollerball, and they're having kind of a boozed up, night by the fire talking. And that's when Jonathan says, hey, listen, they want me to quit Rollerball. And his friend is like, wait, why? I don't know. Can you find out? Yeah, maybe. Okay. End of scene. And then we go through a tedious amount of just random atmospheric scenes. And I feel terrible saying this. I'd like to note this. I am not against slow science fiction, atmospheric science fiction. I have no tolerance for people who complain that 2001 A Space Odyssey.
2000 Space One is a good movie.
I love 2000 Space One. Yeah.
I have no patience for anyone
It's
that
my
says
favorite science fiction movie.
Right.
2000 Space One.
1999.
Hey.
No, I have no patience for people that say that 2001 A Space Odyssey is boring.
Oh.
I have no patience for that.
God.
I love that aspect of that movie. This, that is this almost droning plunge into this world and you just live in it. I love that. And I believe that's what they're trying to do here. I know that's what they're trying to like just immerse you in this world. And I just think
I agree that they're doing that in 2001. You really think they have that sort of whimsy to do that in Rollerball?
That's what they're trying. I think that's what they're trying, and they fail at it miserably because the scenes are just so unengaging. At least in 2001: A Space Odyssey, everything is engaging in that, and it is not here. So you keep going from different things. Like Jonathan is training for Rollerball, and then he meets his new girlfriend, and then they go to the thing where they're supposed to tape his retirement and he won't do it. And then they go to the party, wherever the big Rollerball party where the executives all get to hang out with Rollerball people. And then there's another scene with Jonathan E. and the executive where he's like, hey, listen, I know you want me to quit Rollerball and I want to do it, but if I do it, I want some concessions. I want my wife back, everything like that. And it's
first.
I want my wife back is the last thing. I want some money. I want a house. I want to live comfortably. I want a dog. I want a pack of gum. Oh, and I want my wife back.
Anyone want to jump in on this scene before I talk about it?
He does miss his first wife. She comes up throughout the film. He never once says he loves her, even when he's reconnected with her. He's very much the stoic character, but he does really miss his wife, and she does come up throughout the film. He's watching videos of her. He's very nostalgic for his first wife.
You can just have characters saying "I love you" to establish they love each other, because otherwise you're doing a far cheesier movie than this. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Now, but it is well.
Love is super cheesy.
Well established. Now, And this is one of these things where, and it's these moments that really break the movie for me. I would have liked it. I don't mind movies where people make stupid decisions. I don't care about that, but I just don't find any of the decisions in this movie make sense. Like, there's this moment right here where Jonathan is trying to make a deal with the executive. And he's like, I want to, and the executive says, that's great, Jonathan. You want a deal? I love making deals, but I can't do it for you here. Why? Like, this is so important to them. Like, Jonathan E. will quit. He will quit the game. Like, and they just won't for no reason. It's like, well, Jonathan, you just need to do what we say. And you need to listen. We're going to take care of you and everything. Like, the only reason they don't make a deal in this scene is so we can have the rest of the movie Rollerball.
I don't know about that.
That's all.
And did it mean
that.
I really think he's decisive. He doesn't want to like disobey, but he also doesn't want to let down. Excuse me.
But also, I don't get I get the distinct impression that they don't get much in the way of pushback. So it's not necessarily they're even very good at it. You know. So.
Do you mean like negotiating? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, it seems like that this whole situation is kind of catching them off guard, and they're used to essentially a degree of pliancy with everybody that they deal with that, you know, we're only mildly getting from Jonathan E. You know, he's only mildly kind of like, you know, as John pointed out, it's absolutely bizarre. They're just kind of like, yeah, you took my wife. I wish you hadn't done that.
Sure.
That's bizarre, but I mean that is kind of a totalitarian mentality. You know what I mean? It's
really
not
question.
Yeah.
You know, and also I felt like maybe I'm overthinking this, but he didn't want to let them know how much it hurt him. He didn't want to let them know how much it really. Like, he didn't want to like let it be known how much it was like kind of really grinding his gears. Like, he was kind of obsessed. He's like constantly watching his first wife on his like TVs and his like master mansion ranch or whatever. You know, he's just like constantly reminiscing about his first wife. He's definitely hung up on her. He definitely feels the LOVE for her.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's like allowed in that time. You're not supposed. It's kind of like a Brave New World where you're supposed to just kind of like procreate with like whatever wifey boo is on your arm for the moment. You're not supposed to be like with someone for years and years.
I am not arguing the motivation for Jonathan E. I think they do a good job of setting up his like, you know, obsession with his wife that the corporation took. I'm simply saying that the executive there could have ended the whole thing right there. That could have just been like, yeah, sure, whatever you want. Just retire. And the whole movie would have been over, and I don't believe there was enough reason for him to not do that. Now, this does set up, and gosh.
You're assuming competence. You're assuming competence.
Okay.
And they establish when they go to Geneva that they're not competent.
Well, who's not competent?
The whole system is not competent. They've got that bizarre liquid computer that's just fucking deleting all of the 13th century or whatever. You know, I'm just saying. They obviously don't have their ducks in a row here for their totalitarian state. It's
I think it was on purpose.
Everybody pause for Jules, I do want to come back to that. We just got a comment by Taylor who said, is it possible that this movie was about sports but made by people who've never seen sport before? Am I the only one that got itch during this movie?
That may be why I like it so much. I don't know.
I was thinking, like, if somebody went to Jules and gave him $5 million to make a movie about sports, you'd probably get Rollerball.
So, okay, I do want to move.
That's a high compliment.
Highest compliment.
I do want to move to the next scene. And John, I swear to you, I'm not going to say I like this movie, but this is a good scene. All of the scenes that I've been saying don't work. Like, but these plotting atmospheric scenes that are trying to immerse us in this world. I don't, John. The next scene at the end of the party, So the party is kind of raged all through the night, gone, and then you have these, these kind of drunk executives wandering out into a lawn, and like one of them has a gun, and it's like a nuclear powered gun. Like
that was my favorite pointless thing in the whole movie. Like they didn't really need to do that, but
Yeah.
it was just.
This upset me. This scene upset me more than any other scene in the movie, where they're just like taking some fire gun, laser gun, and just like burning trees for no reason, just because they're drunk and bored.
Yeah, it is a startling scene. I agree. It is more disturbing than anything else in the rollerball game itself. It is the only scene in the movie that I think really captures what they're trying to do. Whatever it is they're trying to do, it does work. Credit where credit's
shooting trees with this fireball gun. Jonathan E. is inside talking, and he's looking out the window at trees exploding and catching fire, but acting so just like that's just what happens every day, and he just keeps talking.
It's kind of like the after party for his what was supposed to be his retirement party, but he's refusing to retire.
Like, again, it's just so 70s. It's like, for fun, you would just destroy the environment. It's like, should we burn down some trees or just throw some shit in the ocean?
I just want to point out that degree of like pointless decadence is something that like the Hunger Games struggled to like communicate in four movies. Four movies they tried to make the upper classes of Hunger Games society that decadent, and they did that in one scene with one action, and it was done. That's what
it was a very poignant scene, and I agree with that. The Hunger Games definitely inspired by this film. So
now we move on there. Jonathan E. has made clear that he is not going to quit rollerball. He and his best friend Moon Pie, they wander around the dystopian landscape trying to find a library. They can't. They're told, well, their libraries are all gone, but there's one computer in Geneva, has all the books that have been digitized, so maybe go there. And
this dystopian future movie that doesn't have internet, so they have to travel to the computer bank.
Yes. And so and Moon Pie's like, what's the problem, Jonathan? Everybody takes care of us. Why you got to be reading them books? And Jonathan's like, I just got want to find out why they want me at a rollerball. And so
I think like this film, like his coach is like a black man, and I think this film is really good with equality as far maybe not for women.
There's several black actors and some of them had prominent roles, and they were like black executives.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of diversity in this film, more than I would see in.
That shower scene at the beginning was really diverse. Black guys, white guys, all naked showering together, man.
That was a good shower scene.
Everybody
lathering each other's up. Black butts, white butts. You saw it all.
Before we completely praise Rollerball for its post-racial society, John, let's go back to your original comment of the racist through line throughout the film, which is they keep saying, so, Jonathan, your team is going to be going to Tokyo next. And then Moon Pie keeps going, how are we going to play them? They're so tiny. They're little guys. They're little guys. The best
like three of them equal one man.
Yeah, if like three of them jump on you, it's lights out. Moon Pie's like, oh, those little guys, and so
that was progressive.
Yeah, they're definitely racist towards Asian folks, but besides that, they're kind of progressive.
Yeah.
Again, you got to remember, this is the 70s. It was still we had a long way to go back then. To them, this was a progressive movie because blacks and whites were together making fun of the Asians, and it was like a beautiful moment in the 70s of the contents of the 70s.
Well, they did have that one teacher that was like they hired a really handsome Asian man to like teach them about the Tokyo team. And I mean, not that they like adhere to anything he's saying about like the kung fu style or whatever the other opposing team had, but they did hire, like I said, like there is lots of people in prominent roles that you wouldn't normally see. Like even in the upper corporate, like upper echelons. Like there's women who are in those roles. There are, you know, people like, I'm just saying, like there, it's like for the 70s, it's kind of progressive. Like at that party, at the retirement party, there's like definitely women who are like the upper class, like
No, I agree.
government
For the 70s, it is progressive, but that's a very, very low bar.
yeah.
Progressive 70s is light racism.
And I do want to address the scene.
I think that like
Yeah.
the racism that's in the movie is pretty pointedly put there to make a point about to make a point of, you know what I mean, like in terms of like what they were saying about like the Japanese team or whatever. They weren't, you know, that wasn't just like we're racist writing a script and they're going to be racist against Japanese people. That was a pointed, that was a choice. The characters
Yeah, and just
were
after
racist.
Yeah, World War II, and you know, there's still like animosity.
And I do want to address the scene you talked about, Ray. So like they're in Tokyo and they're getting ready for the rollerball thing, and they bring in a consultant, a Japanese consultant, who comes in and says, "All right, everybody, you better watch out because here in Tokyo they play rollerball a little bit different. They use karate and hapkido, and they are going to go for these vulnerable spots on your body, and you better work." And Moon Pie's having none of it. He's like, "Well, you know, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. Like we're gonna punch him in the face, and it's gonna be great. And you know, and who cares what they're gonna do? We're just gonna punch them in their jaw and shove it into their ganglia, and we're gonna be fine."
Yeah, I wasn't really sad when he had his fate.
Well, I know you're waiting for the death of Moon Pie dies, but we'll no,
he doesn't actually die.
I skipped another scene, which is my least favorite scene of the movie, which is Jonathan E. talking to new rollerball players. So they're on their rollerball track in Houston, and there's like all the new players that have been hired to play rollerball. And so Jonathan E. is then saying, "Here we are in Houston. I'm glad you're part of the team. Let me tell you how we play rollerball." And what I really don't like about this scene is it defies everything I liked about the first scene, where they go into extreme detail to explain the game of rollerball. They're like, "All right, well, if the motorcycle comes and you do this, and this is how you play rollerball, and then you do this, and if they do this, you do this." And here's my problem with this scene. He's explaining the basics of rollerball to
people who are already on the team.
Players. Yeah, they know
they're on the championship team, right? They just joined the championship team. It's like saying, like, "All right, you're the new. We're going to the World Series, and we got these 3 new players. All right, this is how you play baseball."
Guys, they established that each team plays it different, and he was iterating the ways in which they play different. That's all that was happening there.
Like
that's what he did. It was not just like
you are Ray dead weekending this. You're adding.
I am not. I am not. That's exactly the way my brain read the scene when I saw it.
The basics, like, oh, there's gonna be a guy on a motorcycle, you know.
Right, but no, but all right.
I know what they were trying to do. They were trying to say, "You're playing for Houston now. You're playing for Houston now. These are the way that we kind of play it." But they don't. They just say, like, "Well, you're playing for Houston now, so don't grab the ball if it's going too fast. And if there's a guy on a motorcycle, maybe hit the motorcycle. And if there's a guy trying to get the rollerball from you, punch them in the face." These are not trade rollerball secrets. I hated this scene.
All right.
Okay.
I will concede.
Okay. So then we move on and to our rollerball game in Tokyo. And again, I'm going to gosh, I find the rollerball scene so boring. Like this blood sport, I don't find it very exciting. And one of the things is they drum up how badass this Tokyo team is. And they're going to be using karate and hapkido. And they're going to be, and this is going to be no rollerball you guys have ever played before. And I didn't find them very intimidating. Like it didn't seem particularly different than normal rollerball we've seen before, except occasionally they go into like stances. I don't know.
I thought they were going to do karate or something.
No, yeah.
They do see some like pointed shots at players where they're taking them down.
Did they? I didn't see any.
I mean, they're like.
I thought that the point of the Tokyo scene was the tension of trying to figure out, are they going to try to kill him with the Tokyo team?
Yeah.
That's where I was at. I was not at, is the Tokyo team any good? Because the executive already said it was stupid. And, and you know, they are incompetent. So, like, so yeah, I was not expecting much. But I was like, whoa, okay, I'm paying more attention to the scene now because I want to know if they're going to try to kill him in the scene, which, of course, they only do at the end.
Yeah,
and they did have different formation.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little. I did not think they choreographed those scenes to any way pay off what they'd been building for the entire movie for the Tokyo team.
I agree with that.
Well, yeah. But let's think about. This is what I don't understand about this movie, because essentially it's kind of like it's very easy to write the script of Rollerball. It is not easy to understand whether or not what you wrote makes any kind of fucking sense in like, can you shoot it? I mean, it's like, Ian, if you and I came up with the idea for Rollerball,
sure,
the first question on my mind is not necessarily how do we build the giant rollerball arena, but they could take care of that. It is, can we literally put people in roller skates and motorcycles and have them, yeah. Will this even work? Will this even make any sense? I mean, what will show up on film once we've decided to do this? For some reason, they decided to do this. That's every movie that we've had has an inexplicable mystery, and to me, that's the one for me. I do not understand how they just sort of like wrote the script and were like, yeah, we're gonna just have people doing this, and like we'll figure out how to. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, I'll ask you then, Jules. How do you? What do you think of the way they shot it? I think I think
they shot it as well as they could in the 70s, given that they had like cameras on bikes and random other people with like handheld cameras on roller skates or whatever the hell they were doing. I mean, Jesus Christ, they're lucky anything showed up at all. You know what I mean? If we tried to make this movie, we would have a bunch of blurry, we'd have a bunch of blurry people on roller skates falling down, and that's all we'd have.
I have no
idea how they pull it off.
Be much improved with a GoPro, at least.
Yes, certainly, yeah.
So here we are. And remember, the big thing that they've done for this particular rollerball match is that they have there's no penalties and limited substitutions. Just trying to make it a little more dangerous. And they comment all the time, well, there's rule changes in this game all the time. It's the nature of the game. We're still going to play hard. And so a lot of people get really hurt and die in this particular match, including best friend Moon Pie. So Moon Pie gets ganged up. Moon Pie gets ganged up by like 3 or 4 Tokyo players, much like they said would happen. They then rip off his helmet and with their spiked gloves bash in the back of his head. And then Moon Pie goes into the hospital and is a vegetable. After the game, Jonathan E goes and sees Moon Pie in the hospital, and the Japanese doctor, who's like, by the way, Mr. E, you played a superb game in our country, but your friend is a vegetable, and we need you to sign it. And he's like, I don't want to. Like, I mean, plants are alive, right? They seek the sun. No, leave him the way he is. Leave him the way he is. Why? People who are smarter than me in this, what was the screenwriter trying to say with that scene? Please, like, why did he refuse to? And this could just be over my head. Why did he refuse to sign the papers to put Moon Pie out of his misery?
Loyalty to the team is all he's got. That's how I read it.
Okay. Anybody else?
Believe it. Because that's what's borne out by the rest of the movie.
Another one of the scenes that they didn't need to have in there to make the movie drag out for 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Right. I mean,
So
it's right. That's a time killer.
yeah, and so Jonathan leaves that. Moon Pie goes into hospice or something like that, and then Jonathan goes back to his ranch, and there's his wife. We have the payoff. His wife is there, and they have a great day. They ride horses, and they talk, and they make love, and they hang out. And then, it becomes clear that the only reason she's there is to convince Jonathan to quit. And then there's this kind of weird pontification scene where Jonathan says that, like, everybody just wants comfort nowadays. Everyone wants comfort. And she says, well, yes, of course they do. That's the most important thing. He's like, no, the important thing is freedom. And then she says, well, comfort is freedom. And he's like, no, it never was. And it's the most
She was saying,
he gets.
isn't fighting against poverty and uncomfortable living the whole human struggle throughout all of history or something like that?
And he says, no, the point is freedom. The point is rollerball. He doesn't say that. I wish he had said that right there.
They were juggling too many fucking things. I mean, to me, it was really like, they're trying to do sports and they don't understand sports, and they're trying to where the future is going with society and corporations and all. It was just so much like I don't know. I mean, I thought this movie was kind of deep, honestly, in a 70s low budget kind of way. But I also I could not get over the fucking thing about his wife. I mean, it would be like, your wife got like kidnapped by your boss. Like, you're going in every day. Like, all right, you're playing your team. It's like, you're the shortstop for the Red Sox, and the owner of the Red Sox like gave your wife to like one of the other executives, and then you keep showing up to play for the Red Sox and having a good time, and like, I don't think it was like. It was like, and then he sees his wife again. And it's like, that's it. That's it. What's going on?
And now,
that makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense to me on the basis of what little I understand about living in a totalitarian society. So I think that the psychology is alien to us, but I don't think that it's tone deaf or incorrect in any particular way.
I want to address a comment in the chat, which is Albert says, to me, him signing Moon Pie away was tantamount to acknowledging the disposability that he's just even clued into. He won't let them sweep Moon Pie under the carpet. Okay, credit where credit's due.
Yeah,
That's
fair
a
enough.
good interpretation. That makes as much sense to me, and actually that does hit home.
This movie was
No.
not low budget. That was a full audience you had in there a few times. That was pretty expensive.
Now,
You're
So
kind of
then
right. Yeah.
after that, we then have a scene where, it is clear that they're going to be doing the last game of the rollerball season. It is set up to kill. It's set up to kill Jonathan E. There's no penalties, no time limit, and no substitutions. Guys, from a rules standpoint, was the whole point of this? I mean, could the game end before everybody died? Like, I don't get how not having a time limit ensured that Jonathan die.
I don't know.
I forget
either.
who, but one character made a comment.
Well, because it means there's
Everyone's
no
going to die.
end until they all die.
But then how does the game end? Like,
They have
I mean,
to die. Everyone has to die on one team.
I'm not sure that's what the rules were. That's what I'm saying. It didn't make
If
sense.
there's no time limit, then that's implied.
Is that what everybody else got? It didn't make sense.
I would just figure once everybody on one team is dead, that team loses. I mean,
Well, no, it's just a score at that point, right? When everybody dies,
Okay.
it's just a score, right?
All right.
I don't know.
So
That's what I
now
assumed.
you then have the scene, and this is where I just can't come back from it. You have the scene with all of the executives teleconferencing. And they're like, well, the game is about to be played. We all agreed we don't want to do anything rash to Jonathan E. All of you agree with that, right? Everyone's like, yeah. Like, well, Rollerball was created to show the futility of individual effort. And if one man is so good, then he must be eliminated. Don't you all agree? And everyone just like hits a button and it says agree on their
Actually, it says
screens.
Affirmative.
Oh, affirmative. Thank you.
Affirmative.
I guess my problem with this is, well, what was the point of Rollerball? Why does it exist? Is it to show the futility of individual effort? Because it's a really individualized.
Do you know the
sport.
tagline of this movie?
What?
Did you see the tagline? It's only on the poster, I guess, but it's Rollerball. In the future, there are no wars. There's only Rollerball.
Yeah, it's like
It's just a big distraction for society.
Yeah, but that's not what they're saying it is. What they're saying, they're not saying like rollerball is how like nation states settle differences. They're not saying rollerball is a way to like calm the masses. They specifically say it is designed to show the futility of individual effort. And again, I come back, cool. But it doesn't work because it's a sport that is individualized. It is a sport that glorifies individual achievement. There's one person that makes
designed to do that. It was supposed to be so difficult.
Yeah, everybody else died. They established that everybody else playing is dying. So, like, why is he still living?
You couldn't get
Jonathan is the exception.
You couldn't get
to the rule.
You listen, guys. You couldn't get 5 more unqualified people to talk about what is sport and what is the purpose of sport than us here. All right. So let's just.
This movie is not about sports. This is about bread and circus.
Well, it thinks it is, though. Don't you agree? It thinks it is.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
I played a lot of sports growing up, and I think that that's kind of like the point of sports today. Like, we are a tribal. It's easy for us to kind of fall into like the mob mentality or tribalism. And I think sports today kind of help us to get out that tension even today. I don't think it's like any different.
I'd like us all to
get
come
out
back.
that tension.
Yeah, like we're like, I mean, you've seen people will get violent at world football games, soccer games, like
bench clearing brawls in baseball.
And yeah, like, you mess with the wrong, opposing, fan at a stadium, and people have had a couple too many to drink, you can get into a fist fight real easy. Like, there's like a lot of kind of representation that happens with sports. I mean, people grow up watching their sports team, flourish or flounder, and they, are really attached to these players and they identify with them, and it definitely fulfills that kind of need for that tribal belonging, How
do we know that? But how do we know that? Because we're into Star Trek and not sports. I mean, how do we know that?
I have family members. I have loved ones.
Oh, you have family members
that enjoy
sports.
Who
watch sports. So that makes me an expert.
My father was known in West Hartford as the Patriots guy because every time they won, he was like yelling so loud the whole neighborhood could hear. I mean, definitely, I've observed this.
I'm sorry for questioning your qualifications.
And I'm done. I've gotten my dad beers while he watches the game,
None of us doubt Ray. And I do want to come back to that. And Ray, you've made a lot of really good points, and I want to come back to that. Let me finish the scene. So you have the climactic roller. Who are they playing? Does anyone remember who the other team was in the final?
Which scene?
In the final.
New York.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No.
In the final, it's New York.
No, it was New York. I couldn't believe it wasn't the Russians. They screwed up there. It's always the Russians.
So you
If
have
they made
the final
Rollerball in
game.
the 80s, it so would have been the Russians.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you have the final game, and it is a brutal rollerball game, and everybody's getting killed, and it devolved into just Jonathan E. and the New York team with their last rollerball player and their motorcycle driver, and then Jonathan E. like murders the rollerball player and then is going to murder the motorcycle driver, and then he doesn't, and then he skates around and he throws the rollerball into the pit, scoring the winning goal, and he just keeps skating around the ring as everyone in the audience starts chanting Jonathan, 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 and then it ends with this like Truffaut 100 blows, still frame of Jonathan that you move in. It's a total French New Wave kind of thing right there, and that ends the movie. And I know where they're going with this. Everybody, you got this Harrison Bergeron kind of thing going on here, like the one man who you can't stifle his individualism.
Mhm.
I do get it, and here's why I don't like Rollerball is because they can't figure out what they're trying to say. I really don't think they can figure out what they're trying to say. I get what you're saying there, Ray. Like in Bread and Circus, the representation of sports, what it does and how it can be manipulated. But I don't think they ever focus on that in any coherent way. Not really.
tell
And
you
that's
I-
my problem with Rollerball.
Mhm.
What's that?
I couldn't tell what statement they're trying to make about sports, about society, about dystopian stuff, about capitalism, about communism. Like I couldn't gain any. Looked like they were
And
trying to
that's what
go
was
for something. But
Great about this movie. That's what was great. That's what was great because, to tell you the truth, the average screenwriter cannot square this circle. The average person can't. An above average person can't. These are questions that can't be satisfactorily answered. So if they attempted to wrap this all up in a bow at the end of the movie, they're going to be hacks, is what it boils down to. They're going to essentially just set everything up in the beginning of the movie to create a certain end that they wanted to for a particular ideological point. They didn't do that. He's not a particularly good hero. It's not obvious, essentially, what the solution to this problem is. It's obviously just a giant fucking mess, and then it ends. And so that the point that all of my disappointments in terms of the pace of the movie, and in terms of what was happening, and the rest of it was revolving around the fact that I thought that it was just going to be a movie about a ridiculous sport that was going to be wrapped up in some sort of way. It wasn't. They didn't bother doing that because there is no good answer to the question. And so I was happy.
Counterpoint.
Okay.
I don't care that it was boring. I don't care that it is insufferably pretentious. And it is insufferably pretentious. I don't care about the fact. I don't care about the fact that James Caan makes a mumblecore acting decision that I don't agree with.
Yeah.
That was his degree decision. I
Mhm.
don't care about that. I will admit that it is a visually dazzling film. It is very thought out. It is very stylized. I enjoyed that aspect of it. But I could forgive all of that. I don't care about those other flaws if I thought it had anything to say. And I don't think it does. And I'm not going to wave that away. You did, Jules, by saying that's the beauty of it. I don't think that's the beauty of it. I like deliberate, slow burn, well thought out science fiction. I absolutely do. I think it is trying to be Kubrick, and it is not. It is. I don't know how Kubrick would have done Rollerball.
That's a true statement.
I don't know how Kubrick would have done Rollerball, but I think it's done better. And I'm going to make this statement. Again, I regret bringing this film because this is way.
That was going to be my question for you. I was going to ask you if you regret this movie.
I do, because it is so far out of our league. I mean, I don't think it's too far out of our league to talk about, we are intelligent people who can talk about film, but this is an intelligent film
This doesn't
podcast.
fall into like a
It is
dangerous.
not,
but I
touch.
mean,
This isn't Amanda and the
let
Alien.
me get back to the Kubrick point. But
Yeah.
the point is why 2001 is a good movie, is that it only alludes to the mystery of it. And I would not say that about this movie. I would not say that this is alluding to a mystery, but it is alluding to an enormous amount of social problems to which there is not an obvious solution, and it does not give us one. And I do not think that is a failing of this movie any more than it's a failing of any of us to give a compelling answer to that question, which I don't think that we would.
Here's my problem with that statement right there, is that
Okay.
if they never tried to even allude to that they knew the answers to any of this, that would be one thing, and I think that would be a very Kubrickian way of doing this. But instead what they do is they have like 4 scenes where they kind of try to paint it with a big brush. Like, you have that scene with the executives where they say, this is what Rollerball is. Like, they can't help themselves. There are like 3 times where they try to say, this is what our movie is about. And if you're going to do that, you got to commit to it. And they don't commit to it. That's my problem.
I feel like they do, by the fact that they didn't make this. If this movie were made today, I don't know. Has anybody seen the 90s remake?
We will watch that movie. And
That's 2004. It's
okay,
not the
never mind.
90s.
it's
I thought it was the 90s.
I have
okay.
seen the
All right.
I have
So,
seen the remake of Rollerball.
okay. So
LL
I
Jack.
kind of feel like in more of our era that essentially that they would have essentially said that boy, I'm losing the point here. That
Would have put a bow on it.
well, no, they would have. That it doesn't matter that this is particular. This is the motivation of the corporate people.
Albert.
That's not That's not like he's not. First of all, our protagonist is not some sort of like he's literally stumbling through the whole movie. That's kind of the critique here to a certain degree, is that he's stumbling through the movie and he's just completely dopey and he has like literally nothing going on, and that's part of the point of the movie, is that like it's not. I don't know. I didn't think that was the point being made. I did not think that he was meant to be some sort of exemplar of the individual over the collective, given how weakly defined he was. If it were done today, they would have put a bow on him, being like, no, he's the glorious individual overcoming the collective in the way that the Hunger Games does. You know what I mean? They would have really made a big point of it, being like, no, this person is extraordinary. And they never did that, and that seems like a choice. They talked
in the entire movie, like, if
he's
there's
extraordinary
any bit of repeating dialogue,
playing the game.
Yeah,
he's extraordinary at playing the game. He's literally not extraordinary at doing any other thing. That's all. Like literally, like he has nothing else going for him. The reason why he's spending the entire movie trying not to stop playing Rollerball is that, like, literally he has no other point.
that's a good point.
I disagree with that, because he was like researching some of the, he was trying to find books in the library and research like who made the decisions and why. And he's also
We skipped that
on
scene.
the upper level of the corporate elite. Now that he's like playing this rollerball, this sports ball for years and years, and earned this corporate elite status, and he lives just like a corporate elite, and they do fear him and his high status and his power, and that's why they kind of decide he's going to retire early.
Yeah.
Because they want to have this idea that this game is not defeatable.
He does not bring any extraordinary skills to this particular challenge. In terms of unraveling this particular mystery of what's going on, he does not unravel that mystery at all. He fails. He just goes to the place. He doesn't get any. You know what I mean? He does not. Everything. Yeah.
Could you?
Yeah.
Personifies what like the corporate elite can't really manage. It's like He's like the superb like team like player, leader, leads by example, kind of like man's man, you know, player that
It's 2 hours and 10 minutes of him being good at rollerball, and that's literally all he can do. They make this point.
Jules, could you describe the scene with the liquid computer?
Oh, can I describe the scene with the liquid computer? Yes. So, so he goes to Geneva, where the books are stored in the computer, where they've all been digested or something into the computer, and they've got, what do they call the computer again?
What was the computer called?
I don't even remember.
It wasn't like Zero. Was it called Zero?
Yeah, it was called Zero.
Yeah, Zero.
I was about to say Big Blue, but that's a real computer. So they go to Geneva, where they, and they and they acted, so all of the world's knowledge is stored there, but it's obviously just kind of disappearing under their kind of bundling.
Yeah, what was that whole
and the
thing
computer,
about they lost the 13th century worth of information? Like, what was that?
Yeah, they lost everything in the 13th century, which, hold on, let me see if I'm right with the illusion here. There might be an illusion here. I think it's, sorry guys, you should talk amongst yourselves while I get the date of this. Yes, it is. The Magna Carta was signed in 1215. That is the 13th century. So that illusion did not go over my head. That's all I'm saying.
That was a neat scene. So, Jules and I have pontificated on this enough. Everybody, what did you guys think of Rollerball? John, what did you think of Rollerball?
It was just seven. I mean, the thing is with it was just honestly, this was like one of the better movies we've watched. It was it was entertaining, and I didn't think it really qualified for what we're doing. I think there was there was a plot, holy shit, and there was the dialogue wasn't terrible, and it was kind of a legit movie. It was just the worst things about it to me. It was so 70s, and it just kind of like lent its. I could see all of the actors in this movie. I can see them in a porn movie. And that's how 70s it is. It was just like you could just see the like they could make like a porn parody of this called Rollerballs, and like cast like most of like everyone except the lead actors. They can have everybody else in it. I don't know. There's a thin line in the 70s between like a major motion picture and a porn movie, and but it was just sort of 70s shit. It was
James Caan does look really good in his turtlenecks and tight pants.
A lot of guys in this movie, Ray.
I
was
a lot of
people.
I mean, chest hair was cool in the 70s,
yeah,
and I'm a fan.
If you're into chest hair, 70s was your decade for sure. So let's find out. I mean, let's do this. Let's get into the segment of was Ray. We asked Ray, was this sexist? Ray, was Rollerball sexist?
Hell. Yes.
It is. This might be our first yes.
Actually, like redeeming is that there's definitely women at the the retirement party for James Caan, Jonathan E's character, where there are definitely women in power. So I liked that. But the fact that there's like professional wives, I mean, I guess we don't really get into like are there professional husbands?
Is it sexist to depict in a non-feminist society in the future? Is that that's what I don't understand. That's what I'm not following.
It doesn't pass the Benchel test. There's not two women talking to each other at any point during the film.
Does it pass the Caldwell test?
I liked that there was women in power in this film. Like, it's alluded to, but it's very vague. I don't think this is a very empowering film for women. At all. So,
But I
I
mean,
think you're going to find a lot of them.
What's the other the dystopian show? Whose name is escaping me from the novel.
Jericho.
Come on, it's on HBO. It's on
Handmaid's
HBO. No,
Tale.
that's it.
Game of Thrones.
That depicts that depicts.
John
Handmaid's
Oliver.
Tale is the answer. That is
That's not
that
on
is a
HBO,
depiction.
that's on Hulu.
That is.
It kind of
I'm
reminds
sorry.
me
Pardon me.
of Logan's Run more because it's like you kind of like
But I
order up your lady friend,
yeah.
you know.
No, Joel.
I'm just saying in terms of the sexism question, I'm saying essentially, is it sexist to depict a sexist society?
I
And
think
that
this
doesn't
is.
seem.
Oh,
I don't
that's a good
think
point.
yeah.
I don't think there's
I mean,
really. They allude to like that perhaps there are women who are in the corporate elite that maybe have professional husbands. We don't really get into that. You don't really see a lot of like prominent, strong women at all in this film. We just see like kind of like Jonathan E's like second wife, who's obviously more into him than he is into her, kind of doughy-eyed, like worried about him. His first wife plays a prominent, like kind of like on a pedestal kind of role, but there's really no like real women in this film.
I gotta say, I think this is Ray's very first yes for the segment. Ray, is this sexist? I mean, I thought she was gonna like destroy Dead Weekend. It was just, but she was like finding like empowered women, and she wasn't wrong. But it's just, it's just like the whole movie is basically Stephen Baldwin banging different variations of this alien woman who, like, they're going. I mean, it's just a stupid male fantasy of this woman changing.
I'm going to play lawyer for Ray right now. If you go back to the Dead Weekend episode, Ray's response to his Dead Weekend sexist was hell yes.
I said the only thing that was good about it was empowered
Then she went on.
Again,
Then she went on.
John, how about the fact that like we're asking Ray, is this movie sexist, and then all of us are just speaking over her?
Rich.
Is this podcast sexist?
Yeah. Hang on. Yeah. That's your problem. Ray is empowered here.
You mansplain to me one more time, John.
Anyways,
Okay, Jason.
Yeah.
I'm gonna snap your neck like Steve Seagal.
You mean
one of your first victims.
so? Jason, what do you think about Rollerball?
It didn't need to be 2 hours and 45 minutes.
I know,
I agree.
right? My
And
God.
at that length, I wonder what
it was
they
2
cut.
hours and 9 minutes. It was 2 hours and 9 minutes.
Oh, it was?
It was.
Well,
I mean,
okay,
it felt
but
like fucking a million.
I watched it
hours.
where the
was
counters for
so
2 hours
long.
and 45 minutes, but where I watched it, there were commercials, so maybe that included the commercials time.
Yeah, no, that will do it. That'll do it.
Okay, so
Yeah, it was this. It was what I least liked about it was how slow and dried out it was. Some of the action-looking stuff was cool, but that was the only good thing that I really gleaned from it was those few scenes where there's like a lot of melee going on looked pretty badass, and then it was just a lot of really slow, draggy dialogue, atmospheric stuff, scenes that didn't need to be in there, and I just didn't get what points they were trying to make about society, dystopian future, capitalism or communism or whatever. About this looked like they were trying to make a statement, but I just didn't get it.
thank you, Jason. So my final thought on this film, and again, I do regret bringing it because it is
Thank you.
far too good for a podcast. It is.
Yeah, that makes me not want to like have any revenge on you, unlike
Thank
other
you.
people. Like shitty movies. But I accept your apology,
I apologize.
and we can move on. You see how simple that is? I'm a reasonable man.
But I do want to one more time explain why I brought this movie to us is I was fighting myself. Do I actually like Rollerball? And I really tried to form my thoughts about this movie. And what I keep coming back to is it is ambitious.
it looks good.
And you liked it.
It is performed well, but that doesn't mean it's good. Like, it just means it was competent and it tried. And we are wading through the muck here on A Dangerous Podcast every week with the worst things we can find. And just because this is better than that doesn't mean it was good. I love weird, ambitious, cerebral 70s science fiction. I love it. I don't think it succeeded. So, was it way too good for us? Yes, it is. And I liked talking about it. I don't regret that we talked about it. Like, I like talking about movies.
We should have like
but you know,
decent movies every once in a while. You know, I don't think
You guys
we have
don't
much-
worry.
different podcasts.
When it's my turn, I'm gonna bring the bar way back down. Like you guys watch.
If you all want to start a different podcast called A Pleasant Podcast, then that's fine. But this is a dangerous podcast, and I realize in that mission statement, I let us down. So, Rollerball.
Don't you worry, Ian. I'm going to pick up that rollerball and I'm going to run with it.
Oh, I know where you're going, and it's on my next turn. I'm not going to do this, but at some point, I am going to bring the remake of Rollerball here, and that is a dangerous podcast worthy, because that movie I hate. So
Did you see? You saw it and you hated it? Okay.
at some point we will watch the remake of Rollerball, and that is well within our wheelhouse.
So,
John,
I announced what movie I wanted for next week already, and I tell you this week I've had a major dilemma with that.
Yeah.
So, thing is with me, I spend a lot of time like looking at movies that would be good for the podcast. And when you look up bad movies and everything, the name you keep coming to is Neil Breen.
Man, are we going to do that?
So, all right, you're familiar with them. He is.
I know who that is.
You know who that is. He makes the perfect movies for what we do. He does absolutely perfect movies what we do.
Yeah.
My problem is, do I want to serve the show or do I want to punish Jules? So I can serve the show by doing a Neil Breen movie, and we'd all have a great podcast, and we would have a lot to talk about. It would bring us right back to where we were at the beginning. Or I could make Jules sit and watch 90 minutes of Kirk Cameron lecture to him how all the atheist theories are bullshit, and
this is a lot of self-rationalization, John. This is what this is.
No, it really is.
It's a lot of self-rationalization because you gave me such shit for bringing a bad movie to our bad movie podcast.
No.
And that I can't see how that
for this, Jules. All right. So bad movies are fine. There was a movie so bad my doctor almost put me on medication for it. And you went out of your way to find out that the same people made one other movie.
You're talking
that immediately.
You're talking about other
Cameron, motherfucker.
You're talking about
Jules
Breen movies here.
Let's just let John think this over. A little shadow boxing.
Okay, but
don't get him all in. I really don't want to watch
Cameron. If Neil Breen is on the table, I have done nothing wrong. That's all I'm saying.
I really hate this.
I have done nothing wrong. You will beg me to be like, did they make a third movie about a shape-shifting alien? Will you please bring that to the show? Because, yes.
I feel like anything is better than a Kirk Cameron movie, though.
I feel like that guy in the horror movie who says, who's Freddy Krueger? Like, who's Neil Breen?
There's two reasons I want to do Kirk Cameron. Number one is to punish Jules. Number two is I want to hear Ian narrate this bullshit. Because, when we're doing something science fiction-y or whatever, even if it's Amanda and the Alien, he can take us through that. I really want to see what he does with a Kirk Cameron movie.
I'm going to tell you, John, a reason why I think you're the worst with this now. Like, I said this last week, is that no movie we've watched here, Rollerball included, meant anybody any harm. You know, Amanda and the Alien was just trying to have fun. Who the F knows what Dead Weekend was trying to do? But it wasn't trying to.
It's almost got me
No,
on
they
lithium.
weren't trying to do anything. It was just they were trying to make a softcore porn that didn't even meet that standard. They failed at
I'm on
that.
the fence, though.
Yeah, all our
Should I flip a coin? What should I do?
all
Should I take a
wait,
vote? Should I
wait,
flip
no.
a coin?
No, John.
Flip a
John,
coin.
I'm saying
No.
all our patron St. Lou Diamond Phillips ever wanted to do was make a low-budget Basic Instinct. That's all he ever wanted to do. Kirk Cameron wants to do very different things.
Yeah, I know.
He not
Right.
only
That's the
that
whole
is-
fun in it.
like
Zero. We're talking a 0.0 rating.
But here's the thing, John. You can't change it. You can't do a vote. You can't. You said what we were going to do.
I've done that before.
You advertised it
No,
last.
I've changed it. I changed it from Rock and Roll High School. I do what I want until this episode is
John,
over.
there's no rules. There's no rules,
I
man.
have time. No, there's no rules. We established that at the beginning of this show. There's no rules.
No rules.
So until this episode is over, I have liberty to change my mind. I
Maybe
will
it's
do
going-
it.
With our emotions, because that's what John does best.
So, John, what are we watching?
All right, I'm gonna
The public wants to know.
flip a coin. I'm gonna get a coin. I'll be right back. Stay here.
Mother.
What?
And
As long as you don't have to watch Kirk Cameron, I'm
podcast.
good. Please. Oh my gosh.
Wait, what was it? What happened?
I've got so many great bad movies lined up for you
Oh, yeah?
guys.
You figured it
Yeah.
out? Yeah, okay, all right.
I just don't know. Like I like that we're staying with sci-fi, but I'm like, should I take us to some B movie horror films? Like
Yeah, we are not. This is not a sci-fi show.
And I also-
We really do.
yeah,
Obviously,
that,
because
we're not
we started
Mystery
with-
Science Theater. And
Jules,
there's
you
also
call
a
it.
movie.
Heads,
What am I calling?
heads, Kirk Cameron, or tails, Kirk Cameron.
Stop.
You call it.
Tails is
Obviously.
the other one.
And then the other one will be a Neil Breen movie.
Oh my god!
Yes. Tails is
I
the
can't
only
even-
whatever.
I can't even. My brain can't even
Which
process
movie would you
this trade-off
rather not
right
see?
now. I don't know. At this point, I just want to walk out into the snow and disappear. I don't know. I
mean,
don't know.
we already can't see you, Jules.
Okay, somebody in the comments
Yeah.
write heads or tails. I already know what I'm going to do for heads or tails. Somebody
Okay,
call
tails.
heads or tails.
Tails Niels Green.
Tails?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next week, folks, we will be watching. Good night, everybody.
Come on.
John.
We will be watching the Neil Breen classic Fatal Findings.
Oh my god.
We'll give you the
Okay.
link,
Mm-hmm.
and
Who
we
is
will.
Freddy Krueger?
You will find out very well who Neil Breen is. Okay, not everyone knows who it is. I'm gonna put the link to the movie in the comments. We can all watch it
Mm-hmm.
for free. Make sure you have
Can't wait.
ad blockers on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All I know is
Can't
that
wait.
after this week, I will never get shit again for picking for picking Dead Weekend. That's yeah.
Tell you, like, with all of these free links that we need to be watching our movies with every week, I swear my computer is infested with more viruses than, like, if it is Turnpike sex worker.
Okay.
Like, my
Oh, you just got to come over and do some virus scanning before.
Oh gosh.
so all right. So what is this film again, John? Say it one more time.
Fatal Findings. I'm going to give you the link for it. Here's the thing. Right. This link will give you a million like pop-ups and shit. You want to use like the Brave browser, or you want like a pop-up blocker and all that
Yeah.
stuff. If you have a pop-up blocker and all that, she'll be fine. But
And the next
I'm gonna put in the comments section.
The next podcast will be hosted at the Flamingo Inn on the Berlin Turnpike. Mirrors on the ceiling.
What was
kidding.
what was the Berlin Turnpike motel that we almost had in Stolen Mile? The one they chased.
Comfort Inn. Wasn't it the Comfort Inn?
Oh, was it the Comfort Inn?
Am I making
My
that
son
up?
references that every time we drive by there. Every time he goes, "You can't film here." Just so everybody knows, because not everybody was there, but we were filming a movie, and then there's a shitty motel next to us, and we're like, we got to get some footage of that. So we set up the camera in front of there. And this lady comes out, like, sees us filming, and she goes, "You can't film here." First of all, anything out in the open you can film.
Yeah, we were not on the property.
Ian, being a nice guy, was like, "Okay, we'll leave." And then we leave, and he goes, "If there's one way to guarantee get footage into my movie, it's tell me I can't film." So no matter what happens with this film, he is going to find a way to add the Comfort in.
He actually shot a lot of footage outside that process. He really did. So with that, that's there you go, everybody. Fateful findings. I figure out who Neil Breen is.
Well,
So,
we're all gonna,
do you know the promo I
know
made?
now.
What's that?
Do you guys know the promo I made?
Yeah.
Or the audio I made for that opening thing? How could you have committed suicide?
I recognized his voice. I was like, that's kind of false advertising to make everybody think
Okay,
we're
not
reviewing Neil Breen.
anymore, because that is in this film.
Man.
That is dialogue in this film.
Okay.
So I don't know
We're
who
doing
Neil
it.
Breen is either. I guess few of us don't, but we're all gonna find out. Regrettably.
Yep.
You're going to know. Another idea I had, and I wanted to see what you guys thought about it, is I wanted to have an all drunken episode, an episode where all of us are at least 0.15 blood alcohol level, and we review the best movie we could, like Lawrence of Arabia.
The movie's okay.
It's a movie.
That's
Right.
an interesting premise.
It's a movie. Yeah. It's an episode where we're all drunk, or for Jules, it's just an episode. But it's an all drunken episode, and we review the best movie we can find.
We'll see, John. We'll see. All right. Say goodnight, everybody. John, Jason, Jules, Ray. Say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Love you guys.
Good night, everybody.
Everybody.
Good night. Sweet dreams.
I'm Ian Ali Seals, host of A Dangerous
And I'm John.
Podcast. Thanks for
On Ali Seals, wishing you a rollerbladey night. Good night, everybody.
sit, Ubu.
Fatal findings.
Night.
Fateful findings. Neil Breen.
Thank you, everybody. Catch you next week.
All
I
right.
guess he was got married this episode. I don't know what's going on. Bye.